Any appeals to the decisions of this board are to be referred to the 22nd Judiciary Court. So that's where any appeals would go on any of our decisions. Speaker cards are available, but we'll have time for people that would like to speak. But speaker cards are available if you'd like to do that. For public speaking, the person whose case we're reviewing, they have 10 minutes to speak. The opposition has 10 minutes to speak, and any rebuttals thereafter are 5 minutes each. And the time will be right up here. You can watch the time, and we will keep track of the time as we go along. After the case that you're here to speak on or hear or watch is completed, we would ask that you please quietly exit the building so that we can keep going on all the cases. Without further ado, I will start with the first case.
Have you done a roll call?
Oh, we'll do. We better do that. No, we're gonna approve the minutes first of all, but let's do a roll call first. Madam Secretary, would you do a roll call?
Mr. Brookter from Slidell, Mr. Spees from Lacombe, Mrs. Thomas from Mandeville, Mr. Ballantyne from Mandeville,
Present.
Mr. Swindell from Covington, Mr. Balash from Covington, or from Mandeville, excuse me, and Mr. Daly from Covington. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Excellent. We have a quorum. Let's cover the minutes. We have the minutes that were sent to everybody, the January 4th, our January meeting of the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Any comment on the minutes? Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
A second, please. Madam Secretary, we have a motion. And Secretary, everybody vote with your screen.
Just a moment. Who made the motion?
Mr. Blash,
Okay,
seconded by Sean, Mr. Daly.
okay. And will you officially appoint Mr. Swindell as a voting member?
And I would like to recognize our newest member, Mr. Brian Swindell, to my left. And I would recognize him as a voting member of today's ongoing. And how about, can we vote? There we go. Everybody vote on the minutes.
Motion carries.
Very good. All right. Now to case number one is BOA case 2625. Should I read that?
Yeah.
It's a request by applicant in an A4 single-family residential zoning district for an after-the-fact waiver to allow for the driveway concrete paving to remain within 5 feet of the property line. The property is located at 3006 Mountain Court, Mandeville, Louisiana. The applicant is Britt and Kathy Henshaw. Their representative is Ricky Bowles of Bowles Construction. Would someone like to come forward and make your, you have anything to add about the case?
Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, great.
Not at this time. We're requesting another continuance to the April docket to give more time for Kelly Mayhew and Associates to complete the documents requested by engineering. They've been plagued with the COVID and it's just, they have rough times over there. I spoke with Dave earlier in the week, well, yesterday, and he needs more time.
You said you want to postpone it to April?
Yes, sir. It's a short month.
What's the matter with March?
I'm choosing March. Well, it's a short month, and we want to give Cote a few weeks to go ahead and review all the documents once it's sent over from Mayhew. And we want to give him enough time to go through everything and make sure he don't have any more questions or anything needs to be filled out. So we figured we'll just give him to the April 1st meeting.
The issue here is that No, I indicated to Mr. Bowles that we would need to get the revised plan, probably sometimes the week of the 14th, excuse me, the 14th of February, and it appears that it would not be possible to get that, or he's not sure. So now, on the 21st, we need to have the reports out, to be mailed, because then we'll have Mardi Gras, and then the 2nd is gonna be our meeting. So he thinks that the plans are not gonna be ready for the March meeting, or have enough time to review.
Just a question real quick. What are we going to be reviewing? What is Mr. McEwing's office going to be reviewing?
Mr. Cote sent a list of things he wanted to see added to the plans, to the drainage plan and everything, some load calculations and so forth. And we were asked for some documents, and then he updated the list to some more. So that's why it's kind of like getting pushed back, because between the holidays and COVID and everything, he's had a lot of guys out sick. And so he's having a hard time meeting the criteria, getting it performed and everything due to shortage of manpower at the office and so forth.
We've had this case for at least 2 months now, right?
Yes, and
Probably
Three.
three. Yeah.
3 months. And a lot of the questions that was requested, we seem it's a bit extreme, but we're trying to please everybody. It's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do everything we can to make everybody happy. And so I feel that it's being treated into almost like a commercial, like we're building in a commercial corridor somewhere of the requested documentation requested by engineering for the parish. But, I'm not gonna argue it. I just wanna make everybody happy. So.
Okay.
Has this,
I recognize Mr. Swindell.
has this board already accepted that if the engineering work is done, that,
No.
oh, okay.
So that's part of the issue, is that it isn't a foregone conclusion that would in any way approve this, because it is currently into the side setback.
Keep in mind, I met with engineering 3 times over this project. And the first time we met was at the office, and we met all the requested documentation, and we put it to plan, and they told me if you did this, this, and this, we'd be good. Then we had a site visit. More things got added. So then we had to go back to the drawing board, add those things, and then more things got added. So, hopefully no more things will get added. We'll get the requested documentation on the drawings, and engineering can approve it, and we can move forward. That's what we're hoping. So, and Tissue was the first person on dealing with this, but he's in a different department now. So then now we had to move down to the next guy. So.
Right, and I think Mr. Swindell brings up a very good point. This board has not approved this contingent upon approval from the parish engineering department or drainage or anything like that. We seem to be kind of maybe jumping the gun in terms of saying, well, if the engineering department approves this, then we're going to move forward. That's not been, the case at this point at all.
Correct.
At all.
Yes.
So I'm not sure why. I think that probably at this point in time, we rather than waste any more time with the engineering department and others, we should decide whether or not we're going to move forward or allow this to move forward. And that's just my own personal opinion of it. I don't know how all the other commissioners feel about it.
I agree with that.
I agree with that too.
So,
Okay, Mr. Bowles, please step out. Are you done? You okay?
Sure.
Please step back. We have a couple other people like to speak on this case. Is there Mr. Brad Katie? 3012 Mountain Court, step up here.
I'm Chris Stant. He'd like for me to go first. If that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Chris Stant, 377 Forestbrook Boulevard. I live approximately 2 houses over from where this was built. And the concerns are here that we have codes and encumbrances of the neighborhood, the city, and the parish that were violated. And if this continues to happen in our neighborhood, it's gonna present a drainage issue. And the more people who do it and variants get approved, the worse it'll get. The plans that were permitted first with the city should have been built, and they weren't. And that's not fair to all of us that live around that area. And as the neighborhood that we live in, this thing was engineered to drain a certain way. And now we built something and we're saying, oh, let's go back and re-engineer it to make it work. But it may not work. And if more people do this, then our neighborhood starts to flood one day. And it's just not fair. So everyone here needs to understand that we've been fighting with this for 3 months now, and now we're looking at 2 more months and 2 more months. It's my opinion that we have to look at what the rules are, and the rules were violated. That's the facts here, and we should make it be done correctly. Because if everybody starts to infringe on the next door neighbor and the next door neighbor, it becomes a problem for everyone. Thank you.
And is there another person like to speak? Please step forward, state your name and address.
Yes, sir. I'm Brad Kerr, 3012 Mountain Court. I live next to the property where this was built. And just like Mr. Stan said, we were given plans to begin with that I had signed off on for sidewalks, not a driveway that's coming all the way to property line. So I like to back that up, like, let's just not do something that asks for forgiveness for variances, because it's just going to continue. That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay. So the matter before the board, as I understand it, we are to decide now whether we're going to postpone again or we can just deny it. I would think we can deny it and then they can reapply. If they get the engineering, oh, excuse me.
Is there any rebuttal by any of the parties?
Anybody like to?
Wait, are we gonna hear the case or?
This is hearing the case.
Okay.
All right, so I understand where their concerns come up, but I have noticed that the first gentleman's Chris, he has paving really close to the property line. Seems to be no drainage issue on his part. He just added a new pool in the backyard. He's not complaining about any drainage about that. Anytime you add a pool in the backyard, you pushing water somewhere else. It's just a given fact. Unless you're gonna put the pool below ground level, which that's not gonna happen. Everybody has concerns with drainage, but you can't punish one person for wanting something that a lot of other people either did it behind closed doors or got approved to do it. It's not fair. You can't pick and choose who you want to be enemies with. That's not the way the world works. You may want it to work like that, but that's not the way it happens. So, as to the neighbor next door, he actually signed off on a drawing originally submitted to the joining neighbors of the paving going to the property line to down the side of the house, not a sidewalk. You know, he signed off on it. The neighbor next door signed off on it. I think it was 3 or 4 neighbors signed off on it, and that was presented to the HOA as well of the neighborhood. I know the engineering is not here. One of the questions I wanted to bring up to him is that under the code for the parish, it states that the 5-foot setback servitude is for driveway entrances into the property. It does not say down the 5 foot of the private owned dwelling of the property. That's one of the questions that we're having a hard time at engineering at Kelly Mayhew and I are having an issue with. I wish he was here to kind of explain further into it, because it clearly states it's 5 foot of the entrance into the property dwelling, not down the entire side of private dwelling. But anyway, so, I guess we'll leave it at that, see what happens.
Thank you. Please step back. Okay. Yes.
I just want to make an understanding that, yes, I am putting a pool in, and it was permitted by Masonry Pools with the parish, and it's laid out correctly with the setback of 5 feet. So, yes, things push water all over, but we built the code into permit. This wasn't done, and that's not right. So, I'm a developer. I know how to engineer. We all do. You did it, and it wasn't done to the codes of the parish. That's what it comes down to.
But if
So,
engineering
Sir?
if everybody wants to build and then come back and say, let me go get an engineer to fix this, well, let's all become the Wild West and go build whatever we want in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other, now, Mr. Blige, you're on there. Have we,
Yeah, I'd like to comment a little bit. I'm inclined to believe, you know, and agree with the neighboring properties and others. Gentleman, the applicant, has made a point of saying that there are other occasions or issues and situations within that same development that don't meet code or zoning. And I would suggest that just because they've done it doesn't make it right. And I think that this board will address those issues as they're brought forward to us. Obviously, we can't know everything that's going on, but when those things, and this issue has been brought forward to us to address. My own personal opinion of this, I don't like the whole idea of this concrete going to the property line. It just doesn't work out. There are some issues with drainage, I think, that we are creating. We don't have to create, and we don't have to engineer to fix, withstanding having this in place. So that's just my own thought about it. And again, I said, this board is here to address issues as they occur. And if you're aware of any other issues, please bring it forward. We need to know about it. This is what makes everything work for everyone. When we know these issues, and this is the process of being able to address those problems as we go forward, so.
okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? And if none, can our issue before us is whether to postpone it or not. And we can deny the request and have them reapply. So can I hear a motion? Anybody got a motion?
I'll make a motion in the case, give me the numbers here, I'm sorry, is it 2025?
2625.
2625, I'm sorry.
Before you make your motion, maybe we could refer to the staff report if you'd like.
Oh,
because-
I've read it.
Okay, I'm
I've read
sorry.
it. I've read it. And I would suggest that I would not be interested in, or I would make a motion that this not be tabled or allowed to move forward beyond where we are today, first.
It doesn't have to be done by motion.
Okay, doesn't, okay.
You can make an affirmative.
Okay, well then, all right, I thought that's what you were asking for. Well, and if that's the case, then I would, in the case of 2021265, I would motion that this variance after the fact be denied as submitted.
Okay, we have a motion to deny 2625, deny the request. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Before you vote.
I just, I think what Helen was trying to point out earlier, if you look at the staff comments, at the bottom, should the board not be in favor of the request, it should be subject to the following. And then it talks about the removal of the concrete to within the setbacks defined by the ordinance. So is your motion to deny?
Yes.
Subject to the staff comments?
Yeah, yes, and I'll fall back on some of the cases we've already had since I've been here in this short period of time. We had one, a slab that was just in that same situation, right on the property line, and we said, yeah, you're gonna have to take that down, and they did. So yes, I'm in agreement with the staff comments, and would I add that to my motion?
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Mr. Daly, please.
Just a point of clarification, on a motion to deny, a yay would be to deny, and a nay would be to do nothing, right? Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, vote with your screen, please.
Motion carries. The case is denied.
Your request for variance has been denied. Okay, moving on to the next case is BOA case 2658. Request by applicant in an A4 single-family residential zoning district to increase the maximum allowed length of an accessory structure from 50 feet to 60 feet, exceed the maximum allowed size of 7.5% of the area of the lot on which the main building is situated by 5% or occupy a total of 12.5% of the area of the lot, reduce the required side yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. Property is located at 40600 Hayes Road in Slidell, Louisiana, and the applicant is Mr. Charles Vogel. Staff comments, please.
The objective of the request is to allow for the placement of the accessory building 5 feet from the property line, for the construction of a 2,400 square foot accessory building of 40 by 60, and for the accessory structure to exceed the maximum allowable size of 7.5% of the area of the lot on which the main building is situated by 5% and/or occupy a total of 12.5% of the 19,215 square foot parcel of land. There's no compelling reason to be in favor of the request, considering that no hardship has been demonstrated. We have some speaker cards here. We'll see it after.
And where is the applicant represented here? Please come forward, state your name and address, please.
Charles Vogel, 40600 Hayes Road, Slidell.
Would you, anything else you have to add about the situation?
Well, I've been working on this before, it was about over a year. So I bought the house a few years back. I had 2 lots purchased with it. So I recently went through a divorce. I got a bunch of cars and toys, all right? So I decided to go ahead and build this building on this property. So they told me to combine the 2 lots with the house, which I did. I did everything they told me. I said, what's the setbacks? He told me 5 and 10. That's what they told me. So I did everything they told me to do. I went to J.V. Burks, got the whole property surveyed, staked off. I got a guy to draw me up a 50 by 50 building plans. I even showed the people, I said, can I build a 50 by 50 on this property? And they said yes. I said, okay. So I paid $1,700 for the plans. I go to get Mike's Hardware to give me a build out on the lumber. Well, it was $47,000. I said, well, let's wait a couple months because of COVID. I waited a couple of months, $57,000. I was like, well, that's just for materials. So I said, well, let's wait. And I come back and he cut it down about 43. Well, in the meantime, I found this other company, Mallet Buildings, and they're gonna do the whole building for $50,000, materials and labor. But it was a 40 by 60. So I said, well, all right, I'm still good because I was gonna do 50 by 50. So I get everything done. I pay the guy at the company out of Lafayette. Got this money tied up. I bring in a little dirt, made me a nice little pad. Had J.V. Burks come back, stake off where the cement pad needs to go. Got all that done, and then they telling me I need to apply for a variance. So I'm here now.
Okay.
So,
If you would just step back.
yes.
Are Mr. and Mrs. Bray, are you here? Would you like to come forward? Irene Bray and Randall Bray. Please state your name and address.
My name is Randall Bray. My address is 39592 Cherry Lane, Pearl River. The thing that has happened, I own property right next to where he's going to be building this building. My brother and my parents own property right across the street. There's already a flooding problem there. He pulled in numerous loads of dirt. No permits, no nothing. I show up over there, they're parked on my property. He puts the dirt right, if he's 5 feet off of my property line, he's right at the 5 feet. My concern is the water. And then he owns several businesses. I know he's applied for residential. I personally don't believe that's true. He's going to be pulling his trucks in and out of there for his business. This is my turn, not yours. This is a residential area. He's talking about a 40 by 60 building. Would you want to look at that outside your window? There's already enough problems there without these trucks going in and out. It's not going to be an eyesore. And he said a little dirt, it's probably 18 inches high. The water's got to go somewhere, and it's going on everybody around there. It's not going to stay by him. It's going to come to my property and the people across the street. It's not staying there. That's
Did
it.
you
Yeah,
cover what you wanted to say?
pretty much, yeah.
Is Miss Irene Bray,
That's my wife.
does she want to speak? We have
She filled out a card, yeah.
yeah. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Irene Bray. I live at 39592 Cherry Lane, Pearl River, Louisiana. We bought 2 lots on Hayes Road in 1977, and we had a trailer on it. We were living there. And we had 3 kids and then 2 foster kids, and the trailer wasn't big enough, so we needed to get something bigger. And that's why in 1985 we bought a house with the intention of going back and building on the 2 lots on Hayes, because his family is there and we wanted to be close to the family. He has retired. I still work at UNO, and I had thought I would work maybe another year. We're trying to save money so we could build a house there. But when that dirt was brought in, it was actually over the property line. And if you go out there now and look at it, our gas meter is probably 6 inches away from the dirt that he's got piled up. I know that the building won't be at the edge of the dirt. It'll be further in. But still, the lot is only 126 feet deep, and you have a 40 by 60 foot building there that's going to be humongous. And we've had some, well, for Katrina, there was waist-high water on that lot because it was waist-high. It went into my father-in-law's house, it went into my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's house, and my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and my father-in-law, their house was raised 3 feet, and they still got over a foot of water into their house from Katrina. The flood that we had this past summer from the rainstorm, the water was up to our knees in the middle of the road between my brother-in-law and this property here. Our property is adjacent. My brother-in-law lives across from it. My father-in-law's place is across from it, one down. That lot is 3 houses down from Chinkus Creek. Every time there's a flood, well, from Katrina, it was the water coming in from Mr. Go. But every time Slidell floods, Chinkus Creek goes out of its bounds and comes up the road. It's a flooding issue. Just before Katrina hit, a builder came in there and built like 15 homes on slabs. One couple had only moved in like 2 weeks when Katrina hit. When Katrina hit, water came from the end of Gum, which is the last street in the subdivision, and was less than 2 feet from Military Road. That's how bad the flooding was then. It has improved. They came and dredged out Chinkus Creek, but we still get water. And if you go down there, every single one of the homes, especially Chinkus Creek, because the subdivision is almost like a V. Ranch Road, Hayes Road, and then Chinkus Creek is the lowest. And it goes up probably 15 houses every time those houses on the slab. When he bought this property, the people that were living there was a young man who had a grass business. All he had was one big trailer with grass equipment on it. And he was going out in the morning and come back in the evening. It wasn't a lot of traffic. Further up from us, a third of the way from Military Road to our property, someone built a house exactly on the property line in a corner. So it was on the back and the side. When they tried to move in, when they tried to get there, they built the house without any kind of permits. When they tried to move in and get the lights turned on and stuff like that, they had to go through a permitting process. They were denied. But then he was able to sell it, and the next people were able to move in. They have since built a big garage on the front, and he works on trucks there. This is a narrow road, and police and fire trucks, sometimes we can't even get down that road to get to our father-in-law, to our brother-in-law. We have to turn around, go back around either Chinkus Creek or Ranch Road to get down there because of so many, it's because of the business, but also the builder that's out there now is building the houses on 50-foot lots. And so they don't have any parking because there's no front yard. They may have a slab for 1 or 2 cars, but if they have more than that in their household, they can't park, so they're parking on the road. It's dangerous. We keep thinking, what's going to happen when an ambulance can't come down here? What's going to happen when a fire truck can't come down here? If he moves in, he brings in all this equipment and stuff, and it's moving in and out. That's going to be great. Right now, our little end of the road is kind of peaceful because we don't have the traffic that's up further from us. So I hate to see that. Another thing is, 3 houses down from our property, there's a young autistic child, and that man has that child out there all the time. You know, we have signs up. There's another handicap sign. I just think that kind of traffic is going to be dangerous because they're closer to the end where it's not as much traffic. But you bring a commercial business in, running things in and out, it's going to be a problem. You know, when we moved and we saw how it was flooding and everything, we knew that when we went back, we would have to build it up. The situation is now, the house that's on the very end of Hayes Road, and the houses that are along Gum Drive, which is the road that runs along the creek, all 3 of those houses flooded. You can't even get into the house on the very end, the left-hand side of Chinkus Creek. Those people have to stay out sometimes for weeks until the water goes down. They have to get their vehicles out. The people that built a house on the end of Hayes on the right-hand side, we told them when they bought the property that floods. They didn't move their cars. Their cars flooded. Now they sold their house into someone else. I mean, there's a real issue there because the parish permitted that builder to put all these houses on slabs, and they flood every time there's an issue. Putting that size building, even with it being raised a little bit, that's just creating more of a problem. That means the flooding is going to be even higher because it can't go under it. You have no natural egress for that water to move in and out. So it's going to cause more flooding, not only on us, but the people in Frenchman Estates. Their houses flood on the other side of our property all the time. Every time there's a flood, they're tearing out sheetrock and carpet and stuff like that. I want to be able to retire, and I want to be able to build on this property so we're closer to family. But I don't want the whole half of the side of our property blocked by a big building. And it is too close. It's not 5 feet. He moved it once because we went over there and complained. He moved the line back. But I still don't think it's 5 feet. And I think a variance at this point should not even be allowed because of the flooding situation, because it's going to be a business type thing that is going to be an eyesore and cause more traffic for all of us. We have grandkids that like to come over and ride bikes and stuff like this, and they can only do it right in front of our area. So I would pray that you would please deny this.
Just for the board, Madam Secretary has just handed me another email in opposition. Okay.
I forwarded it to y'all this morning,
Oh, okay.
but it's,
All right. Mr. Vogel, would you have anything to say in rebuttal? And
Yeah, I mean, I do have, you know, a business, a carpet cleaning business, and I got 2 vans, and I got a trailer with detail equipment. I'm building this for my toys. If I wanted to keep all my business there, I've been in this town for 30 years. I pretty much moved in this neighborhood on Chinches Creek 30 years ago. So I got houses on Ranch. I sold my house on Chinches, and I got a house on Hayes. So if I wanted to keep my equipment there, it would be parked in that lot right now for 30 years. That's how long it's been. So I'm not trying to do this to run my business out of there. I run my business elsewhere. So I'm actually shocked at him because me and him talked and we were cool about everything. And I told him, I said, look, I had J.V. Burks mark it off. It is staked off. I'll get the permit for you. So all we got to do, I said, J.V. Burks, I'm going to put my pad in, mark me off where the pad needs to go. And he put the orange stakes on the corner. So I should be within that property line. If it's not, I will move it. But I think I'm right where I need to be. The only thing I'm asking for is 5 feet and 10 off the back, 5 feet off the side. He's not living there. It's an empty lot. I even talked to him about buying a lot. I want to buy it from him. But he said his wife don't want to sell. She's not looking to move there. It ain't happening.
okay. Let me see. Just stay right there. Mr. Blash, wait. You're done?
No rebuttal.
One other thing, that whole subdivision's been a flood problem since the 90s when I moved there. It's always flooded. 95, it's always flooded. When my guy that lives in the house right there, when it floods, it's like a foot deep across the whole yard. I got about this much dirt I brought in for a pad.
Okay, please step back. Yes, ma'am. You want to say something in rebuttal?
I'm sorry, I was in a car accident Sunday and I'm real stiff and sore. Okay, first off, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know my mind. He doesn't know whether I'm going to live there or not. We have house plans. We intend to build there. I intend to work maybe 1 more year because we were saving to have money to build a house there. My problem is he's putting something on the ground. It's going to cause more flooding. During Hurricane Ida, in the middle of Hayes Road, standing in the middle, we couldn't go home because we had gone down there. His motorcycle was there. His motorcycle flooded. It was within 2 inches of going in on the porch by his dad's, and about the same going into my brother-in-law's, his brother. The fact that it's going to be on a pad is going to make it flood even more because there is no egress for flow, for coming in and going out. It's going to cause it to stay longer. It's not only going to be a problem for us, it's going to be a problem within French Branch. I don't think they even realize this is happening, 1 street over from them. But for him to say he knows I'm not moving there, he doesn't know that. We have 2 lots there, not 1. But the thing is, having a business there, even having your toys there, they're going to be going in and out. It's going to create traffic. People coming, there's no place to park on this street except the street. And you can barely get a vehicle through most of the time, especially in the mornings and in the evenings. When everybody comes home, you sometimes have to go around because this is the only street in that subdivision that doesn't have stop signs at the crosses. It goes straight through, so people go on it and go fast because they think, I don't have to stop here. We've almost been hit so many times because of cars not stopping from the side streets. But it's on the ground. It's going to cause more flooding. The water was over my knees on the side, on our side of my father-in-law's side, my brother-in-law's side during Ida. We sat in the truck all night because we couldn't drive out of there. That's how deep it was. It was almost in the floorboards of the truck, so we didn't want to go through the water. So we sat there overnight with our dogs in the truck because we couldn't get through there because of the flooding. This is going to create another problem. It's going to make the problem worse. It's going to be worse because it's flat, and personally, if I had toys that I wanted to store, I'd never put them on a road that floods like that because it's not high enough to keep the water out of that building. The water will be in that building. Now, whether it'll come up to the fenders or into the vehicles, I don't know. But we don't need that kind of traffic. We don't need that kind of he needs to get further out where he's got more acreage or something to be able to build something that big so it's not an eyesore for a neighbor getting up and walking out. Because, believe it or not, we're going to be neighbors if that building's built. And that, or maybe we won't build because we don't want that big old building covering the whole side of our lot. So again, I pray that you think about this and think about all the homes that are flooded there. Every time there's a storm, every time there's a real hard rain, it floods bad. People have to tear out their homes. Putting this on the ground will only cause more problems for French Branch and for us. So please consider that.
Thank you. All right, I recognize Mr. Blash.
I just had one question for the applicant. You mentioned that someone had told you that the side yard setback could be 5 feet?
Yes.
And that was someone from the parish that told you this, or?
Well, in the beginning, yes, sir. In the beginning, yes.
Okay.
Before I combined the lots, because I bought the house with the 2 lots, but I guess they weren't like combined as one, so they told me that I can combine them, and that's what I did.
So you have, and I'm just,
I mean, I got a lot of money tied up out there right now.
so you had,
I don't even know if I'm gonna get my money back for the building.
right, and you understand that can be a consideration of a variance, is any kind of monetary
I mean,
reference?
I'm deep in this. I
I understand, but we can't make a decision based upon money. It has to be based
Yeah, I
on
know,
hardship.
I'm just saying, it's just, I did everything everybody told me to do.
I understand. Okay. I'm good.
I recognize myself to ask another question. As you, if I stand on Hayes Road and I look at, on the left is where the, you built up for the, you live in that house on the right?
That is my rental house. My friend lives in there. He
Okay.
lives in there. So
Where-
I have the house, far front corner, all the way up front on the lot, on the property. So it's 150 by 128 deep. So he's up front with his driveway with a carport. Next lot over is my driveway, a middle driveway, to go to the building. It was already there. I didn't put that in. That was already there. So I'm just trying to keep my building like this, with the garage doors facing the house, not the street, so I could pull in, turn in, and pull my cars in. I
And
got 2 cars, 2 boats, 2 jet skis. I need it all put up. I got it all over the place. If I wanted to run my business out of there and store my business there, them trailers, Mr. Detail trailers would be piled up in there. It's not like that. I don't keep my stuff over there.
The dirt for the accessory building is already there.
Yes.
I'm good. All right, I recognize Mr. Swindell.
So is there a particular challenge? I understand your desire for a garage. Is there a particular challenge with building one that meets the ordinances?
The problem is, I paid this company, and they don't just take like a little $5,000 down payment. I had to pay a
Well,
lot.
I hate to cut you off, but just like Mr. Blash said,
You know,
the
so
monetary value
they
is
already
not-
drew it up. Like the plans it's done. Like everything is done. I'm just waiting for a permit. Like it's done.
outside of that.
I know.
That work's already done prior to getting a permit.
I would have to pay more to change everything, and including the dirt work.
Yeah, okay.
Then Mr. Daly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all 3 of these requests have to do with size, more or less. Is there any way to move 5 feet more so that you're not infringing on the setback, or, well, I guess we covered the height of the building, or the size of the building.
So you want me to move it over?
Well, I
The
don't want
pad
you to
over 5
move it,
feet?
But, yeah, I mean, is there a reason why it needs to
I
be?
wanted to keep my
only-
driveway, because then it would probably cross over to the second driveway. Because this one would be on this lot, the third lot, then the middle one's like a vacant lot with a driveway, then the house is on the other lot with its own driveway. But I will make sure J.V. Burks comes back out and stakes off, because I got all the rebars in the ground. You just got to find it with a metal detector, and they can stake off the property line so he'll know that I am already over where I'm supposed to be. And if it ain't, I'll move it
Well,
over
I
5
mean,
more feet.
right now, you're not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be actually 10 feet off the property line, not 5.
Well,
So-
in the beginning, I was told 5 and 10, so yeah,
Yeah.
you're probably right.
Mr. Chairman, I guess. Can I make
Yes.
another comment? Just as a comment and my understanding of what's going on here, you know, we've got 3 major things that are happening here that violate this ordinance for the zoning portion of this property. You know, the 10 feet being reduced to a 5-foot setback. Then we've got the 7.5% of the maximum allowable size of the property, or the building as it pertains to the property. And that's been up to 12.5%, so that's kind of a big deal. And then we've got the building exceeding the 50-foot. So combined, these 3 things kind of give me a hard time. You know, if it were just one issue or one situation, it may be that we could grant this, but, you know, I would have to see, you know, for sure it just seems like it's a square peg trying to go into a round hole. And that's the way I'm seeing this, is a request.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say usually when we have, we allow for accessory structures that are larger than are allowed, they're still under the % of the total lot area. You know, there's some reason why it fits in, and yeah, I mean, it just doesn't have 3 things that are.
So let me ask you this, if I wouldn't have combined it with the house, and I would have just had 100 by 128 deep, she said I could build that building 50 by 50 on that property if I made the front of it look like a house, okay?
Who's she?
Well, somebody in the office, as long as I made it look like a house, okay? But she said if you combine it with the house, then it could look like a building.
It's an accessory building.
It's accessory building.
It's not the main.
And that's what she told me. So I did everything. I did my homework through this whole process. I
Understand.
mean, all right, the setbacks are off. I didn't realize when I combined the 2 lots with the house that it was gonna change the setbacks, because every house is 5 and 10, or however it is, it's 5 feet off the property because they're 50-foot lots.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize when I combined it that changed.
What were they before?
And I already
Before you
did, like I started doing the work, the mud work or whatever, and I just didn't know.
that? Okay, 50. They're all 50, okay.
But I mean, if you need me to move it over 5 more feet, I will. It crosses over the other driveway.
Mr. Blash, anything else?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I understand everything.
Hearing nothing else from the board, I would entertain a motion on this request for the 3 things in the variance request.
Your Honor, may I say something? Do I get a rebuttal?
Yeah.
We're outside the rebuttal period.
Yeah.
Please make it short, very short.
The family that's renting his house, when the dirt first started coming in, we asked him what's going on. He said, oh, the man that owns the property wants to build a building there for his business. And he said, I have to be out by the 1st of February. And all this dirt started coming in. There were no permits allowed. He had not permitted it then. It wasn't until after the dirt had been laid and someone came out there and started doing the rebar that a sign was posted then, because it was larger than it was supposed to be and because he had not gotten the permits. I stress, we don't need something that big next to our property. We don't need something that's going to cause that much more traffic. It will cause more flooding because his house that he rents had water during Katrina and is right up to the door in Ida. So putting something flat on the ground, that means the water's going to rise higher. And that's going to flood homes that are already there.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else from the board? And so I was opening it for a motion and hearing none.
I'll offer a motion to deny on case 2021-2658.
We have a motion from Mr. Blige to deny the request for variance. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to deny the request for variance. Any further discussion? Please vote with your screen.
Motion carries.
So
Request
the-
is denied.
The motion for the request for variance is denied. Okay, moving along. Case number 3 for today, BOA case 2672. Request by applicant in a planned unit development overlay for a reduction of the required rear yard setback from 60 feet to 53 feet to allow for the construction of a single-family residence. The property is located at 1632 Oxbow Lane in Covington, Louisiana. The applicant is Jordan Williams. Can I have staff comments, please?
According to the regulation for the River Club subdivision, a single-family residence shall be located 60 feet from the rear property line. As shown on the attached drawing, the request is to allow for the overhang located over the rear door to extend 7 feet into the rear yard. While the rear property line is slightly angled, no hardship has been demonstrated to support the variance.
Is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name and address, and do you have anything else to add about the case?
No, sir. Jordan Williams. I'm not sure what my address is. Address is
1632.
1632. Thank you. Oxbow Lane. And that lot is just an awkward triangle pizza-looking lot. And so where our back patio, I guess you would say, living area is, it's all covered in the outdoor living. So it's within the setback line over the left part of the property, but as it gets to the master bedroom, it just interfringes because the property kind of goes at an angle like this. So we were hoping to be able to still have a roof over our master bedroom, you know what I mean, to look good. And we don't have any, I guess, objections from the board. I got a letter from the HOA and stuff. They said they don't have any problems with that, so I don't know what else to do. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Okay.
You okay? Just step back.
Okay.
Do we have any opposition to this case? Anybody here in opposition to the request? Seeing none, any questions for Mr. Williams from Mr. Blige?
Okay, I just would comment that looking at the lot, it is kind of an awkward situation in that, the way it's positioned. It does present some challenges for construction and I get where you're coming from, what you're trying to do there. Having looked at River Club development and they're agreeing to go along with this, I have no issue with it myself.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Can I have a motion? Anybody would like to make a motion on this request for variance?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I have a motion by Mr. Daly to approve the request for variance. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
A second from Mr. Swindell. Any other discussion from the board? Seeing none, vote with your screen.
Motion carries, it's approved.
Your variance request was approved.
Thank you. Do I need to sign anything or anything, or?
You're done. You can work that out with the staff.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a great day.
Okay, next case is our case number 4 today. It's BOA case 2693. It's a request by applicant in an A2 suburban zoning district to increase the maximum allowable length of an accessory structure from 50 feet to 60 feet. The property is located at 535 Dove Park Road in Covington, Louisiana. The applicant is Mr. Michael Evans. Is he here?
Yes.
Please come forward, state your name and address, and would you...
Michael Evans, I live at 535 Dove Park Road. And I'm looking...
Sir, let me interrupt you. Let me have comments, staff comments, please. Just stay right there.
The objective of the request is to allow for the construction of a 2,400 square foot accessory building, 40 by 60. Although no hardship has been demonstrated, staff is not opposed to this request, considering that the proposed accessory building will be located on a parcel of land of approximately 1.5 acre and will not exceed the 7.5% of the total area of the lot.
Great. Now, Mr. Evans, please state your name and address.
Okay. Michael Evans, 535 Dove Park Road. And I'm looking to build a 40 by 60 shed. And when I just went to speak with the steel company about having it, they told me I should come and seek a variance because St. Tammany has a 50 by 50 maximum size shed. Or we call a shed, it'd be a shop. And I was stating when I come down and inquired about it, it seemed unusual that I can't build a 2,400 square foot shop, but I can build a 2,500 square foot shop. And I didn't want the 50 foot wide I'm looking so I can use it to park 2 vehicles or a trailer and a boat in tandem in a slot inside. If I go 50, well, then I'm gonna have one and a whole lot of room on the front and back and stuff. But I was looking, and that way, and also on down the road when I'm no longer around or my wife goes to sell the place, it would provide a place for someone with a large motor. I have a motor home that's sitting out in the driveway right now, but it would give them an area to park a quite large motorhome, diesel pusher, all the way inside the shop and keep it covered out of sight. And I was just trying to get this before I even go to the planning, for permits or anything. I want to get the variance in order to build the 40 by 60.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Do we have any opposition? Anyone here in opposition to this request for variance? Seeing none, any questions from the board? Comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment with
Blush.
regards to this. Looking back at this other case we just had previously, they seem similar, but they're not in a lot of ways. We've got one of those 3 items that does not meet the criteria for the zoning for this. And I would just suggest that 2 of those 3 objectives are being met. I don't see, as the staff was saying, that it's creating a problem, especially because of the size of the lot as well. So my personal opinion is I'd be in favor of moving forward with it.
Are you making a motion?
I can make a motion to approve case 2021-2639. I'm sorry, 2693.
I have a motion from Mr. Blush to approve the request for variance on 2693. Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second from Mr. Swindell. Any other discussion from the board? Seeing none, vote with your screen.
Motion carries, it's approved.
The variance request was approved, Mr. Evans.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, next case is our case number 5 for today, BOA case number 2696. Request by applicant in an 8C3 highway commercial zoning district for a waiver of the required 10-foot side buffer planting areas on each side of the property line and a waiver of the required number of Class A and Class B trees. The property is located at 68-200 and 68-228 Louisiana Highway 59, Mandeville, Louisiana. The applicant is N59 Ventures and RPM Pizza, and this is across the street. Staff comments, please.
The objective of the requested waivers is to allow for the placement of a common access driveway between the two proposed restaurants and maintain adequate internal circulation. As you can see here, I included a chart here as the original request that was proposed in front of us. And then if you take a look at the email that I sent and also distributed you a copy of it, you know, the request has been changed or modified as they would like to provide additional trees than what was originally suggested. And also, they would like to request to pay into the tree bank for the remaining number of trees.
Please state your name and address and what you would like to say about this case.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Sochet. I'm a partner in N59 Ventures. I'm also here representing RPM Pizza, which is under construction across the street right now. I also have with me this evening Caffrey Favre and Billy Danflew with Dorsey Development, these two gentlemen here. They will actually be developing the proposed Starbucks. You have a photograph of that new prototype that they're building. This will be the first freestanding Starbucks in West St. Tammany. A lot of the Starbucks you have here at the end are strip centers, and they have some freestandings out at Fremont Town Center and things of that nature. But all of these types of facilities, Domino's, Smoothie King, Popeyes, they're all going to their own freestanding location so they can have a drive-through pickup, offer all the things that we know now are badly needed during COVID and things of that nature. So we were very fortunate, in my opinion, to get a call from Caffrey. I've known their group for many years now, asking us if we could accommodate them at this location. One of the drawings that you have, I'd like to just turn your attention to sheet 2, which is not in Helen's package, but my package. It shows an overall layout of the property and the relationship of Starbucks to Popeyes, the Domino's under construction, and the Smoothie King here. We could not accommodate their request unless we had cooperation from RPM Pizza. RPM Pizza loved the idea of a Starbucks next door, and we went to work on this particular plan, which involves several things. It involves RPM selling my group back about a 20-foot strip of land that could eventually be transferred to Starbucks, and sharing a driveway. So that driveway is shown between the two buildings here, where we have the property line and the issue in question. The other thing that we've done is we have tied all 4 of these outparcel users into a cohesive development that relies on only a single driveway off of Highway 59. The DOTD is very stingy on giving out driveway permits today, so we did that for them. And we also have connected everything back to Coop behind Popeyes, which was originally planned, and that is shown in a cross-hatched area there. So a tremendous amount of work has been done to do this. Now, to the variance itself and to the lack of trees, obviously there is a reduction in green space between the two buildings. Frankly, because these facilities work together, we did not want a barrier between the two facilities. You have to know where you're going and things of that nature. Helen and Regan did the tree count. We've come back. Yes, we were deficient, I think, in 8 on each lot, eight Class A trees on on the Domino's lot, 8 on the Starbucks reconfigured lot, and 8B and 8B trees on each lot. We have come back, and if you look at one of the handouts, L 2.02 in particular, you will see where we added trees on the Domino's lot. We were only able to add 3, and have a reasonable chance of them growing and thriving. And on the other 2.02, which is the same landscape architect did Starbucks, you will see that we've added 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees. And so we are still deficient in trees. However, actually, in lieu of contributing to the tree mitigation bank, we have done a calculation. If y'all are familiar with that property, you go by there every day. Our engineers did an excellent job of laying these projects into the land. We have a very robust existing tree buffer, big pines along the front. We were able to lay the parking lots in where we didn't have to fill that area to get everything drained to the rear. And we, as it sits here now, have 93 tree credits. If you count up all the existing trees out there, we're over 93 tree credits. Now, you divide those credits by 2.5, which is the size of a Noop tree. So I think that comes up to 37 trees. So we are asking for this variance based on the attempt that we made to plant as many trees as we can on the site, and to rely on the end count and have to maintain the trees that exist there in the frontage, which frankly are the ones that are most appreciated by the community. I don't know if these gentlemen would like to say anything else, but again, we're very happy. I know Helen and her staff is very happy to potentially have a Starbucks across the street, and Church of the King is too, and we would appreciate your consideration of this request.
Thanks, sir. All right, do we have anyone to speak here in opposition to this request for variance with the driveway and the trees and all that? Having seen no opposition, how about questions from the board from Mr. Mike?
I don't have any questions with regards to, but I do have a question for staff when we get to that point,
Go ahead.
If you're ready for, okay. So, as I understand what Ms. Associate was saying, is we're measuring diameter of the existing trees and applying that towards minimum tree plantings. Is that how you came to that conclusion, or did I misunderstand what you were saying?
Basically, if you want to just look at the little chart that I put together and compare the ones that he just submitted to the ones that I gave you.
Okay.
You know, basically, they're removing the trees in between the 2 property lines.
Right.
And they would normally be required to provide a Class A and a Class B on each side of the property line.
Right.
What they're proposing now is to provide 2 Class A's, 1 on each lot, and then 2 B's on the Domino's side and 7 B's on the Starbucks side. So, two B's on the Domino's and 7 B's on the Starbucks. If you've looked across the street, they've pretty much preserved all the trees around it as well. So if I'm not mistaken, you're asking to just have to provide the trees as shown
Different
here on the
location.
revised, but not pay into the tree bank. Am I correct?
That's correct. We would like to do that.
Okay. All right, so, so let me ask you just one more question while we're there. And I like the idea of having that ingress and egress for both properties. The only question I have and concern that I would have is there any consideration given to queuing in terms of people coming off of the highway, because it's a busy highway, as you know, trying to find where they're at, allowing cars to stack behind them? Is that a concern, problem, issue?
I think DOT has given approval for this connection, is that right?
Well, the connection has been there for a while.
So it comes off a coupe behind Popeyes and accesses Domino's.
That is correct. And if you look at the circulation, it is all counterclockwise with the buildings that are located to the south of the big full-service drive that we have, the coupe.
Right.
So the queuing is all internal.
Okay.
If you did it the other way around, there might be an opportunity, but we really studied this. I mean, You know, these guys,
Yeah.
they don't
Well, I'm
want
not a traffic
problem.
engineer, so I don't know. I'm just asking the question because
And,
it
and
seems like a big
now,
concern.
now people putting in the connection behind Popeyes will allow for two ways in to this project as opposed to the singular way you have now for Smoothie King and Domino's.
Okay, okay.
There's been cooperation from Popeyes, literally all four of these users have looked at this and like it, and we love the mix. Pizza, smoothies, chicken, coffee.
What else can you ask for?
Daiquiris might be the next thing we need, I don't know.
All right, any other comments, any other questions? Seeing none, entertain a motion. Mr. Daly is
I'm just
raising
reading
his
to make
finger
sure,
like this.
I'll make a motion to approve case number 2021-2697 as requested.
I think it's 2696.
So as requested with the revised
Oh, sorry,
chart,
2696.
I'm sorry.
as requested with the revised chart and not paying into the tree bank?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, let me just make sure that Yes, 2696. And then, let's see. Oh, actually, so that was my question, sorry. Let me pull back for a second. Staff is requesting that payment to the tree bank is, payments tree bank requested to be removed. Okay, fine. Okay, so as stated in the board report and the revised attachments given today.
I'll second.
That's convoluted enough.
I'll get it. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
So are you approving based on the revised chart to provide
Yes,
two
the revised
As
chart,
and
yes.
nine Bs, but not paying into the tree bank, or paying into the tree bank?
Not, well,
Doing the plannings.
you had said not paying into the, but if that helps you.
So the revised request includes more trees, and then the offset would be not paying into the tree bank.
That's what they're requesting.
That's what the request is. I don't see why we wouldn't require payment into the tree bank at a lesser level, yeah.
The only thing I would suggest is maybe just make a caveat at verification from staff or something like that, that
Yeah.
the tree credits are, available.
Right, because you'd stated that there were tree credits already to apply.
Correct, so as long as staff
Yeah.
verification, we're good, move on. If not, if he has to
Right,
pay
then
tree
then a
bank
payment needs to be
$100,
made.
$1, whatever.
Yeah, right, okay. So, I will revise my motion, or if I'm still making my motion, so, to approve 2696, with staff verification that, the offset credits or payment is required, to offset the reduced number of site trees.
So in other
and-
words, if they do not come up with the required number of inches total on the entire site, they would have to pay.
Correct.
And we have no problem with that.
So it's not waiving, it's setting up a.
Yeah, it's just setting up the numbers and using the numbers from your revised, report from today.
So we have a motion by Mr. Daly to approve the request for variance of the revised submittal from today to do the plannings, subject to staff review. Do I hear a second, please?
A second.
And a second by Mr. Blash. Any other further discussion? Seeing none, vote with your screen.
Motion carries.
Motion passed.
Request
Your
is
Request
passed.
for variance approved.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. That concludes, oh no, we have one more.
The one that I read originally.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, sir. The next item is our case number 6 for today, BOA case number 2697. This is a request by applicant in an A3 suburban district for a waiver of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer on the west side of the property to allow for the placement of a driveway and for reduction of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer to 25 feet for the approximately 180 feet and to 15 feet for 130 feet on the east side of the property to allow for the construction of a single-family residence. The property is located on Robert Road, which is Louisiana 1091. The applicant is Keith and Jane Campo. Staff comments, please.
Staff has no objection to a request of the waiver of the 50-foot no-cut buffer on the west side of the property, considering that the location of the access was approved by the Planning Commission as part of the minor subdivision process. While there's an attempt being made to plant oak trees, crepe myrtles, and azaleas to mitigate the removal of trees within the buffers, the requested variance to reduce a portion of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer on the east side is a personal preference rather than a hardship. The residents could be relocated towards the west to allow for the preservation of the required 50-foot no-cut buffer.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Please step forward, state your name, names, your address, and if you would like to add anything to the case.
Keith Campo, 62271 Highway 1091, Pearl River.
And I'm Jane Campo, same address, 62271 Highway 1091 in Pearl River.
This is Pearl
It's not-
River?
Yes,
Okay.
it's not slide on.
Okay, do you have anything else to add on this case?
Just that the property is a little triangular shape, so it's kind of narrow at the part where the house is being placed, and that with the servitude on one side and the driveway, and not being able to use the servitude for the driveway, you got to add the driveway on the side, and then the shape of the lot. That's why we're asking for a reduction of the buffer zone. That's.
Let me see if there's any opposition to this case. Seeing none, I will recognize myself for a question.
Yes, sir.
You're asking for a request in a waiver of a no-cut zone, and you've already cut it down.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir. We haven't cleared anything.
This is a lot right across the street from First Presbyterian Church.
No,
No,
sir.
no, sir. No, sir. This
No,
is
we're
a-
in Pearl River.
This is on Robert Road, not by military.
Which is 1091.
Yes, sir.
And this lot is right in the bend.
Okay.
Where
It's right by Rooster Road. It's
Red
right,
Rooster?
it's Red Rooster, right across from Red Rooster.
It's all wooded still, sir.
We haven't cleared anything. We just purchased this property and.
I went to the wrong lot.
I'm sorry.
We'll give you grace. That's okay.
But we,
We're maybe across, well, no,
I
I
don't
don't know
know
where
if a church is.
Presbyterian church is.
I think you
you're
went to
on
another case.
military.
They're requesting a zoning change but further north in that same area. And maybe that's
I don't know where they got a church on over there.
no, it's.
On Robert Road Extension?
On military, maybe?
No, it's on Robert Road. It's on
Robert-
1091.
Oh,
There's
I'm
a
sorry.
First Presbyterian
Oh.
Church.
Oh,
Right
yeah,
in the
that's
curve.
far
Oh,
up.
that's up by
further up.
CVS you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
Is that
right
by
after the
CVS?
turn, the circle.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Towards towards Highway 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
up further. We up further a little bit.
Okay.
Totally
It's-
wooded.
Yes,
We haven't put down
we haven't
anything.
cleared anything.
Okay. And I swear.
We're doing this waiver
it's
first,
been
and then
cleared.
we also.
There's a driveway that goes down to, the west side, and,
No.
it fits a description perfectly. All right.
No, sir.
No, sir.
My bad. I was
No,
I
we
was at the
haven't
wrong
cleared
place.
anything.
All right, then, Chair recognizes Mr. Blosh. You have a question for the?
I do. I'm just looking at the the survey, and I'm looking at the way you have the driveway laid out, and I love the fact that it's gonna be a side-load garage, is what it looks like.
Yes, sir.
But it looks as though you have 46 feet, which is a pretty good run between where the turning radius is right there,
Yeah.
coming back. Have you given any consideration just to moving it back over just a little bit over, and that would still preserve some of that green space for privacy for your neighbors? That's,
I did do a revision. I moved it over 10 more feet, and took away from, like you're saying, the drive.
so how much would that
So
leave us?
they give it 25 straight down and not notch out around the house.
Okay,
Actually, what it was I didn't realize that when we did the plans, I didn't know that there was a 50-foot buffer. So we thought we was keeping off 25 feet off of the property line. We thought we was within that setback.
okay, good. Well, that
So, I mean,
makes things a little bit better for me.
Would you like to see his revised plan?
Yeah, yes, I would.
sorry, I forgot I had other copies and forgot them. So
Oh, okay.
I only had one copy with
Huh. Cool.
Okay. Okay.
Are there any wetlands on the site? Surveyed? Okay.
And the survey
Yeah, that's-
just also,
That's the same one we have here, though. That's what we have.
I'm sorry.
That's, because I think we have this. This was revised. I
Well,
had
no,
that.
there's extra space between, it isn't measured, but there's extra space between the house and
Okay.
the no-cut setback.
It's 10 feet.
So if that's 10 feet, so this is 25 and then plus 10, and then here,
Yeah, I'm looking over here,
it's,
the drive.
oh, in the driveway?
Yeah.
No, that's in the same place.
I shortened the
No.
drive
By 10 feet?
by 10 feet.
But over,
Yeah,
Okay.
The house,
I
We
shifted
will.
the house over. 10
okay, I
feet.
understand now.
We moved
Okay,
it
good.
over, Just
Great.
like you said.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
west.
Gotcha. Okay, that
Yes.
makes me feel much better. It really does, because it preserves some of that green space.
Yes. And I don't know, did this say, so we're gonna clear the servitude the whole way? Right.
That's what the request is.
Yes.
All the way down,
Yes, sir.
the whole,
Yes, sir. On the servitude side,
okay.
the regular, that's like, I think the servitude is what, on my property, it's 17 and a half. I think we're gonna clear it 25 to allow for the swale inside the servitude.
Okay.
Okay, did we cover Mr. Daly?
Oh, I went.
Okay, Mr.
So-
Swindell?
So, I mean, the lot is an odd size. I do recognize that if you moved your house back far enough to get the 50 feet, you'd have a lot of front yard and no backyard. This is really a question for the board. When individuals make these type of requests for variances, do they speak with the adjacent property owners typically? I mean, clearly there's no house there right
No,
now.
I was just,
But-
I was just fixing to ask that question. But yes, we normally, we would see if the adjacent property owner have the opposition. If there's a homeowner association, have they reviewed the request? And sometimes we get a letter that they've reviewed it, approved it, and things like that.
Yeah, it's not a neighborhood, and the woods, the property adjacent to it goes on, like, I don't know, a lot, and I didn't know how to find out who that is.
It's still wooded on
Yeah.
both sides of us. There's no subdivision development.
That's got an even stranger size, is that a house couldn't be built in the front part of that lot anyway. It would be in the back,
Right.
beyond your driveway.
Yeah.
Mr. Swindell, we covered your point?
Yeah, I'm good.
And I wanted to ask that question. Is there a homeowners association
No,
that?
sir.
There is none.
No,
Okay.
sir.
It's
All right.
kind of rural. Thank
And-
you.
Wait a minute.
Is that
If you don't mind.
Chair recognizes Mr. Blash.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding this, where the driveway ends, the green space from that point forward to the back of the property line would be untouched in terms of the trees and plantings and whatever's there at this point, right?
They're asking to clear all the way up to Lot C. If you take a look at, because that's how the planning commission approved the survey.
Oh, when it comes over?
So eventually, access will have to be provided to Lot C. So they're requesting a complete waiver of the west side as shown on the survey. And now they amended their request to clear a portion of the east side to 25 feet.
So far as preserving access to Lot C.
Yes.
Okay, I
It's
got it.
not your property.
Well, only half of the servitude's my I
Right,
can't
but Lot
use it.
C-
I
No,
can't
Lot
use
C
it,
is not.
but
Unlock
yes.
it, yeah. Gotcha, okay. All right, I'm good with it.
Thank you.
Step back. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, I entertain a motion on this variance.
Good turn, John.
At the variance as revised.
Oh, to 35 foot? Oh, geez. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, the waiver. The required 50-foot no-cut buffer on the east side, for that Lot C, and then, a reduction, the required 50-foot no-cut buffer on the, I'm sorry, that was the east side. Wait, isn't this west side would be the?
North is at the top of the page.
I'm gonna,
So east is on your right, west is on your left.
so the driveway side is going to be our, east side. Driveway's west. Yeah, okay. So driveway side, west side, waiver of that 50-foot no-cut buffer. And then, for the other side, reduction in the required 50-foot no-cut buffer to 35 feet, right? That's what our revision is.
25 or 35?
Thir-
25.
25 feet, 480 feet.
25 feet.
Oh, and 10 feet cleared. Okay, fine, 25 feet, yeah.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Daly to approve the request for variance as he just stated. Do I hear a second? I'll second that motion. Mr. Swindell has seconded the motion, so we have a motion and a second to approve the variance. Any other discussion by the board? Seeing none, vote with your screen.
Motion carries.
Your request for variance is approved. Good luck. Before we go any further, the gentleman sitting in the back, can,
He's in my office.
I have no business with the board.
and you're always welcome to attend. Okay. Next on the agenda is any old business. And I will contact my council person to get me on the agenda to talk to the parish council about, what's my,
After the fact.
after the fact. And I thought this was after the fact because I went out there to the lot and it was already cut down. I said, not only do we have after the fact cases today, but we have a case that's after the fact and they didn't say so.
What context
Any case.
Just to be upset about it, or to
No,
raise fines?
when people are coming, I don't know if I understand your question.
What did you want the
Yeah,
council
what
to
are you
do?
gonna tell the board?
No, we've asked the council to establish more of a deterrent. So we're not getting after-the-fact cases in here at monotonous regularity. And we get one or two a month. And so we want to increase the fees. We want to make it not so difficult, because what the contractors are doing, the contractors are going to the to the plaintiff and saying, you don't need a permit. We'll go ahead and do it. Then we'll go to the Board of Adjustment and we'll get a variance.
If anyone notices. Right.
Yeah. And so this has been going, I stumbled across my file. This has been going on for over 2 years. So I'm gonna go before the council and plead and beg that they do something.
If you want them to do something, I would suggest having something for them to act on. So before just going to speak to them as a body, I would recommend having a draft ordinance in place for them to consider.
I agree.
No, I don't want to do that. I mean,
No, I think as a board, we should do that. As a commission, we should do that, rather than just.
Generally, they don't take up discussion items as a body. If you want to discuss something, they'll do that as groups of council members, but they're not going to discuss an item on their agenda. They're only going to take up a resolution or an ordinance. So I would suggest going that route if that's what you want the council to do.
Essentially, we need to get a council member to present an ordinance for it.
Right, and I know that Ross is already working on some fee changes in the code, and I think that that's going to be before the council soon, and I think that includes some of the after the fact.
I may not live long enough. I'm on the clock.
Right, I'm just saying if you want action, you need to give them something to act upon.
It's y'all's job.
Right, we're trying to help get you.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
I may not live long enough.
So what you're bringing forward soon? What's in there that?
I wouldn't necessarily call it soon, but I would call it we're restructuring our fees that we charge in the department across all aspects of whether it's BOA claims, zoning commission, permits, licenses, whatever it may be across the board. I'm just looking at making sure they're all up to date where they need to be.
So
We're actually working through our code as well. The code rewrite that will change the criteria for requirements on later. So it may not see these as much in the future anyway.
After that,
Yeah.
I've never seen so many in all the time doing, here, Parish.
I have.
On the city level, every once in a while, you get something like this. It's like that.
it's a regular occurrence.
Yes.
Monotonous regularity.
That raises the flag, on the administration side, in our day-to-day operations, if something comes through so often, then something's wrong. So we're addressing it.
So you're just speaking in favor of the revised fees, or,
Everything. Increase in fees. Yeah. And if it I do whatever pleases the board.
I just think that what we're saying here is that if it's submitted through the commission as a recommendation or some sort of ordinance request or something, that it has more power and impact than just one individual from the commission coming as an individual to say.
Well, no, when I go before the council, I'm gonna say I'm here from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. And we have these requests, over and over again. And their people are gaming the system.
Well, what I'm saying is, if we dragged something and brought something forward, I think that's the proper way to do this.
Right.
Is to bring it forward in a draft formation, saying, this is a recommendation from the Board of Adjustment, we're experiencing these things, and it's a formal way of
You
doing
can
this.
you can put a resolution on your agenda next month, vote
Right.
as a board to support the resolution, which would show the council exactly what you want to amend, which would be increased fees and
Now, does that have to be advertised or something to do it that way, or?
a resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, now you could take it as an
posted in the minutes.
off the floor item, but I mean, if we're discussing it now and we have time to put it on the agenda, it's not a bad idea to do it formally instead of have to take it off the floor.
I think it's better to give them a heads up through presentation and then come back the next month with a resolution.
That way,
or
because we're drafting, we're working on it.
Okay. Madam Secretary, will you, or
Yes, I'll work with Helen and get something and I'll email it to you all. the Board of Zoning Adjustments hereby resolves that due to the number of after-the-fact variance requests received by the board and a concern that the permitting process is not being followed by the parish, we recommend that the, we'll work on some language. We'll work on.
No, keep going, I like the way you think.
Respectfully request that the parish council considering increasing the after-the-fact permit fee or Board of Zoning Adjustment application fee for those cases from, whatever it is, $250 to $500, or I'm just pulling numbers, but something along those lines.
whatever
You
the-
all support that as a body, and then give the council something to act upon, which will then have to be in the form of an ordinance.
Whatever obstacles that we can put in there to make this difficult.
Do you have any other ideas besides fees?
No, fees is all I can think of.
Yeah,
Go
but I
ahead.
would think that I would also want to leave some sort of way of waiving that fee, and let me tell you why. We've had a couple of cases that, and I'll give you one example, on some waterfront property. A guy's pier, if you remember, this is about 3 months ago. His pier was rotting or whatever, and he tore it down and went to put it back. And they said, oh, no, you've violated the ordinance because you have a setback now. You can't build that. He goes, well, it was there. I didn't know.
remember that.
So really, he wasn't trying to game the system. What he was doing is just to try and repair his property. And there was no real clue for this man to know this. I don't think, to me, well, I mean, I think that if, I want to find out if there's a way for us to do something like that, to waive a fee, or, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you
If
have,
we're-
but
if we-
I'll.
Because that's an application.
Not us, but if
Yeah.
maybe the parish could waive it with a recommendation from this commission. So, you follow what I'm saying? Because looking back at his case, that would have hurt that old man, and I hate to say old man, but older gentleman. You know what I'm saying? He was just trying to do the right thing, and had no idea that had changed. So, I don't think that everyone that comes for an after-the-fact variance is trying to game the system.
Yeah,
I think the vast majority of them
fall
are.
into a code violation.
I agree.
If we don't approve.
Okay,
That's my recommendation.
so you all got the ball.
Get the ball.
Get us on, get me on the agenda and get that to them. Where'd he go? Okay. Any other old business? How about new business? What do we got in new business?
We just have, maybe, 3 cases for next month.
3 cases, and next month is Mardi Gras.
Yes.
So the meeting will be on Wednesday.
The meeting's on Wednesday, March 2nd.
I will not be.
I'm clear to partly cloudy. I will make sure Ms. Thomas is going to be here, but we'll have to take a head count and make sure we got a quorum.
If you're not planning on attending, let me know.
I definitely will not.
I'll let you know. I will do everything I can to be here. All right. No other business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Good job.